a good job at it. You all might be interested in our journey because we just got into this market space in 2010. So one of the reasons that we decided to do this, we decided at Goodwill, hey, we're really good at vocational employment, but we hadn't been looking at and working with persons who have barriers to vocational employment. We hadn't been looking at self-employment as a vehicle for folks. To think about creating jobs for themselves. And I really think that that's our challenge as a nation really going forward is how are we going to think too? It's not big industry versus small industry. We need all, again, across the continuum. But we need to help folks think about how they can create jobs for themselves. And so our journey into this started with, we started offering, first of all, we went out and we looked to see who's already offering services, because we all know it's very difficult when you're duplicating services. And we had a couple of very good micro lenders with really boots on the ground in our area. One was CAP Services, another one was AvoCap. And it's really hard to make any money. Don't think you're going to go into micro lending. When I looked at that Grameen model and $7 billion lent out and 95% payback rate, you might think that there's some sort of earned revenue to pull out of there. This is very difficult work, and there's not a single organization that does this work in the United States that isn't subsidized. So you cannot fund this work from earned revenue. It helps that revolving fund so you can loan out again, but you can't fully fund it that way. So anyways, we went in and said, well, what isn't kind of being provided? And it's exactly what Amber talked about, that one of the services that they offer, that we offer as well, is classroom training. So we bring folks in, and we talk to them about, their business ideas. So our cornerstone kind of product that we offer is a 10-week business feasibility class that folks can come in that typically have a business idea, but they haven't thought about all the things you need to think about in business. What are you going to sell? Who are you going to sell to? Who are you competing with? Pricing strategies, basic marketing strategies. We're not talking about $1,000, ad campaigns. We're talking about marketing strategies that work for very small businesses. So we do all of that. And that's all on the non-financial service side. We also, and there's also a spectrum already out there of business services, so you want to link folks. We really try to work with folks who have a lower asset base and who would struggle with any of the other services out there, and we try to use our dollars then to help negotiate the business world for persons who would otherwise be shut out. And then on the financial side, we make referrals to the lenders. So all the lenders that are available, to bring them in, collaborate with them, talk to them about coming in and pulling people through the next process. I have to tell you, unlike the folks, everyone needs capital, the $100 loan to start the business in where you're working in Uganda. That's not true of all persons who want to start a business here. In fact, most folks here who are micro entrepreneurs are pretty risk averse, and so they don't really want to take out a loan. So a lot of places, like I think maybe 80% of the folks I work with do not want to take out a loan. They want to fund it themselves. So there's only a certain piece that even would qualify, 20% even qualify for a microloan, because typically what they want money for is to pay their own salary, and nobody lends on that. They'll lend on equipment, they'll lend on other things, but they're not going to lend on that. So a lot of folks aren't looking for the loan. We are thinking about microequity. How could we start an equity? How can you take equity concepts and bring them down to this market space? So we're thinking about that. We're also thinking about some micro grants to kind of incentivize folks to kind of get their business planning done and figure out if this is going to work for them. You might ask yourself, does all this stuff work? So there's 500 of us out there doing this. Does it, really make any difference? And it makes a significant difference. This is information from the SELP study. It's the biggest data set we have in the field of microenterprise. It's from the Aspen Institute. It's the acronym stands for Self-Employment Learning Project. And so they coalesced all the folks who are doing this at scale and figured out, how are you helping the businesses that you're working with. And so one of the great things is that small business has a high failure rate. So the SBA has a pretty high failure rate. And micro businesses fare better than the average small business, particularly the ones who've worked with many of us who are providing services. So 57% of the folks are still in business, and that's a good thing. That compares to 47% of all small business.